ESBR Boxing. We're back, myself and Danny, two of ESBR's finest. We're here in kind of review mode, I suppose, really. Looking at the career of Inoue and where he's going to go next. Obviously, kind of other people on the channel reacting, obviously, to what's just happened with the victory that he's had over Doheny, but we're here to sort of talk a bit ahead of that. But before we get into that, Danny, obviously, thank you very much for joining me. Before we get into all that, please like and subscribe. We've obviously got all your boxing needs under one umbrella on this channel, so please check out the rest of the content there. Danny, as mentioned, we've just obviously seen Inoue come through there, going through the gears, essentially in a, I suppose, what turned out to be a fairly routine victory over TJ Doheny. But we're looking, obviously, to what's come next, who can beat him, whether anyone can beat him. Let's start off really with this super bantam scene, obviously where he is now, obviously undisputed champion down there. Obviously, seen him fight Fulton. There's other names, obviously, Tapales, obviously Doheny and all those sort of guys. But I suppose one name that stands out, maybe like Madliev, maybe that fight down there, how you see him getting on with that one. But do you see anyone at super bantam, Madliev or outside, giving Inoue a good go, possibly beating him? Or do you think that that division is completely sewn up now for him?
I think you would be very brave to outright pick anyone at super bantamweight to beat Inoue. I think with the Lewis Neary fight and even parts of the Haney fight we've just witnessed, like he's not a completely flawless fighter. He's easy to hit, not easy to hit. He's hittable, and Akhmadaliev is offensively a fantastic fighter. I think that'll be a really entertaining fight, and I think Akhmadaliev would definitely have his moments in that fight. Could potentially hurt, could potentially drop Inoue, but Akhmadaliev makes a lot of defensive mistakes more than Inoue does, and just with how good Inoue is at finding the gaps, I think you would have to make Inoue a pretty clear favourite there. Elsewhere at that division, the Sam Goodman, the Australian, I think is mandatory. I'm not sure how likely that fight is. I believe Goodman actually turned down this date. So, and I'll be honest, I've not seen a great deal of Sam Goodman, so I'm not going to sit here and say he'll beat Inoue. British interest, you've got what the likes of Liam Davis, Dennis McCann. I mean, I don't think either of them are going to get the call, and obviously that means we're talking a huge jump up in levels there. But I think I can't see anyone at Super Bantam beating Inoue in the next 12, 18 months. Not for me.
Obviously, Queensbury's Death will be delighted that you mentioned some of those names in there as well. But I think
Get the
just
plug
going on
in.
to the Akhmadaliev fight as well. Obviously, yeah, we've seen Inoue, obviously knockout records ridiculous. Do you think, would you back him by knockout there, or do you reckon that'd be maybe a points decision if he were to step into that fight?
I think he'd probably stop him, I would imagine. As I touched on, just the gaps that Akhmadaliev played, like he's so athletic, but he sort of can dine out on that athleticism and make sort of, don't want to say basic errors, but errors that a fighter of Inouye's caliber would be able to capitalize on. And as I say, I think he would give it a good go. I think it would be a very entertaining fight, and it's a fight if Inoue is to say at 122. It's got to be Akhmadaliev next. He's the best fighter Inoue. He's not fought at that weight yet, but I would pick Inoue to stop him. I think somewhere in the second half of the fight, probably.
Let's obviously Inouye's gone through the weights, hasn't he? Here as well. But let's talk, I suppose, about 126 up to maybe featherweight now. See whether you think there's anyone. Well, whether you reckon Inoue would succeed up at that weight. First and foremost, whether you think he could win a world title up at that weight. And also, there's names obviously around that division. You're looking at, I suppose, Rafael Espinoza. I mean, Lee Wood's still ranked obviously there as well. But Nick Ball, Lopez, Leo, Vargas, those sort of names, Brandon Figueroa, those sort of names you think Inoue could prevail against, at least mix it with? Do you see him winning world titles up at that weight where he decides to move up?
Inoue definitely is capable of winning a world title at that weight and probably will when he decides to move up. But I think if he hangs about there, that's where he'll get found out. And I think that's where he'll get beat. I think, people forget he started his career as a light flyweight, so he's already come up, 20 pounds essentially from where he started, or certainly 15. I think even though he's not got a world title at the moment, Rabisi Ramirez, I think I'd probably pick to beat Inoue, a lot bigger than him. You talk about Rafael Espinoza, I mean, he's 6 foot. What would that look like in the ring? The likes of Nick Ball, as much as I like Nick Ball, I think he's one of Britain's best fighters. I have no two ways about it. I think Inoue would beat him stylistically. Brandon Figueroa, that would be another really entertaining fight. Huge size differences there, but I do think 126 is where Inoue would start to come into more serious trouble, and I think that's where he would get beat if he hung about there too long.
Yeah. Do you think are you expecting him to maybe move up then? You expect him to? Do you reckon that you kind of seen all you can see from super bantamweight? You expect him to go up, try and catch a title at feather next?
Nah, I think he's going to fight Akhmadaliev next. That's sort of the rumblings that's going around. That I think that's going to be one of the Riyadh season shows, potentially even one of the Riyadh season shows in London next year. But I think after that, he'll potentially maybe look to move up. I mean, anyway, he probably doesn't have that long left. I mean, he's in his 30s now, and he's fighting in the lower weight classes where it's not like at heavyweight where you can see the likes of, Zhilei Zhang and even Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Usyk go into their late 30s and even 40s in some instances. People sort of reach a ceiling in their early 30s at these lower weights. So I don't think he's got a great deal left. I think he'll maybe fight Akhmadaliev, maybe look to have one or two up at featherweight, and that'll probably be him. I wouldn't want to see him go, 130 and lightweight. You're getting into, the territory of ridiculous there. So I think a move at featherweight will come in the next 12 months, but I don't think it'll be next.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I mean, you say you don't want to see him up there, but we are going to talk about it because, we've had other guys at the outlets that like to see lads run up the weight classes and we will finish at 130. Obviously, the names that are kicking, I mean, Navarrete, for example, but other, Kakacha, those sort of names. Do you think there's any possibility, A, of Inoue even going to that weight class, or B, of even mixing it with guys in that division at the sort of upper end, sort of championship level in that division? Or do you think that there's simply no point in trying, or that he won't try?
The thing is, 130 is actually not that strong a division at the moment. So I think if the right opportunity presented itself, he potentially would. Not really. I mean, I can't even imagine what that fight would look like. Catchy talk. I don't know. I don't know. It depends, obviously, what happens before reaching that point. I think, what is it? Lamont Roach has got one of the belts, and Robson Kosei Sal. So not like a murderer's row of champions. I think the fighters and the champions at 126 would even potentially be stiffer tests, but Navarrete would be a lot bigger. Kachi would be a lot bigger. But if he saw the opportunity to, say he does pick up a world title at featherweight, and then a sort of soft touch presents itself at 130, I think that would make him a 6-weight world champion, something ridiculous like that. So again, just because of it maybe not being the strongest division, it's possible, but a lot needs to happen between now and then before I think we start seeing that.
Thank you very much, Danny. We'll leave the video there. Let's thank you for your insight. Obviously, showing that we are reacting, obviously, to the victory that Inoue just had there. And we are, I suppose, to be honest, there are exciting times coming for Naoya Inoue. Obviously, we've got the Akhmadaliev fight. We're all looking forward to seeing that, and then potentially the move to feather. And Danny said, really, that we may have a couple of years left. Let's enjoy those exciting few years. And as we mentioned,
Absolutely.
Video, like and subscribe for all the other sort of fight content, all your fight needs. Danny, thank you very much for joining me as always. And guys, thank you very much for watching.